Welcome to Native Calgarian and Mossy for listening. I'm your host, Michelle Robinson, speaking to you in Mohkinstsis in the Blackfoot Confederacy, home of the Niitsitapi, Tsuut'ina Dene, and the Yiharhi Nakota. I talk about history, current news, unheard news, book clubs, with special guests to give local or national issues a voice through an urban Satu Dene lens. My life's work will be to honor the voices of my ancestors and next generation with humor, love, and truth. Reconciliation is work, not performance. May we honor all Indigenous voices with that courage. Today is July 10th, 2025. Welcome to Native Calgarian. If you enjoy hearing Indigenous content by this Satu Dene woman, my Patreon account is Native Calgarian, where you can pledge and support. Thank you, previous donors, for showing your support. For those who cannot afford to give, I'd love to hear from you at nativeyyc@gmail.com, where you can send in your comments or questions. Also, giving a review helps whatever medium you're listening from. I have a YouTube channel where you can go and subscribe, or you can go to nativecalgarian.com for the latest podcasts, pin posts on social media, and links to the book club that we have. So, anyway, remember to share the things you've learned to your network. Because I live in Calgary, where 80% of Calgarians still believe we live on stolen land. So if you don't share it, how's anyone going to know? And if you're too afraid to be woke, then you're freaking the problem. Holy. Oki, naganago, meko che chistokomaki. Nera dago de gots nugotine sigu saradi. My name is Red Thunder Woman. My married English name is Michelle Robinson. I use they, them pronouns. My Dene lineage roots me in the land of the Great Bear Lake tribe in Treaty 11 in Delaney. I'm a native to Turtle Island, but my Dene nation is uninvited to this area of Clincho Tine Indahe in Satu Dene, meaning Many Big Dog Town, named after the Calgary Stampede, which is ripping and roaring right at this moment. I was born here in Calgary, or in Blackfoot. Mohkinstsis is Michelle Elliott, an English name that has afforded me privilege in an English colonial world. Acknowledging proximity to whiteness is important because the darker the skin, the more racism a person experiences in colonial spaces. My late great-grandfather is Milo Bewell from Delaney. His daughter, Alice, is my now late granny. My mother and I are Northern Slavey Dene or Satu Dene, but my Indian Act and Post status card by the Canadian government says Yellowknives Dene. Through my father, I am a daughter of the Mayflower and a daughter of the American Revolution. Having a Canadian Indian Act status card is a colonial construct by Canadian policies meant to divide Indigenous peoples' inherent rights. Indigenous Two-Spirit, or the Indigenous 2S LGBTQ community, and Indigenous women are at the bottom of the Canadian socio-economic ladder because of colonial trauma, imposed poverty, racism, gendered violence, and land theft. I am not a social worker, nor am I an elder, nor do I speak on behalf of all Indigenous people. I just share my journey as a, Dene mom in this ableist, colonial, racist world of 2025. For me, I think it's important that we all think today and every single day of the many Indigenous lives lost for the so-called country named Canada. I hope you see your role in the importance of stopping harm, and as a citizen, see your role in reconciliation and as a treaty partner. Land Back is a movement that could save the planet from climate change created by colonialism and imperialism, but it would be a part of a treaty partnership, part of meaningful reconciliation, and honoring global initiatives like the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. As a former drafter, be happy to teach you more about that stuff, but you have to go to nativecalgarian.com for more. So I have lots of things happening today here in Calgary. I wanted to start by saying I opened up my email and got this terrible message saying I'm old. That's not actually what it said. What it said was it is already the 10-year anniversary of AROC. So that means for 10 years I've been talking about anti-racism organizational change with folks in Calgary, and we still have 80% of people that believe they are not living on stolen land. So just shows how much more work we got to do. I also wanted to say one of the things, like, I don't like a lot of things about Stampede because I know the darkest political crap happens for these 10 days. And so I'm not a particular fan of that. And I think that sexual assaults, sex trafficking, and the abortions that happen, 6 to 8 weeks later, it sucks to have to be fair and honest about what's happening, but mostly the human trafficking of women during this time. It sucks. I hate it. So the only bright thing that I do like is it's been 10 years since the TRC, and I guess the Calgary Stampede decided they'd start letting a few of us natives a little more in their circles. So we finally have some, Indian relay races happening and some horse riding happening. So I was fangirling the horse riders on all of the internets, all of the apps, and one of their publicists actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to do a podcast?" And I'm like, "Yes." And they said they'll work on a time with me. Right now is kind of powwow season, but basically, what I'm going to do from here until September 4th is tell you that season two premieres on APTN September 4th. Their whole first season is available right now if you have an APTN app or if you can go onto their YouTube website. Obviously, if you're listening to me, you have means to find season one of the Horse Warriors. So I hope that you do that and look forward to our podcast where we actually get to talk to some of them. And, I'm quite happy because in my link tree, I had put a link to vote for Brent Dodging Horse to be given an award, and he actually did win it. So that was great news. I was happy to see that. And his ranch, the DH Ranch, it's been all over my internets. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the Calgary Stampede, but at least I finally get to see a little bit of Indigenous inclusion that goes beyond, their stereotypes that they impose on us. So look forward to that. And let me know if you've seen Horse Warriors season one, and if you're looking forward to the season two premiere on September 4th. And I'm not getting paid to tell anybody that. I'm just damn excited as this Gen X who never got to see any representation on TV. So one of the conversations that I've been having on my TikTok that I'm finding a lot of engagement on, if you heard my last podcast, I talked about that Terry Fox one. But I knew they were going to do this. They suppressed the algorithm, so I don't think I'm going to hit six figures on that. But that's okay, because I'm just some lame-o suburban housewife native in the middle of nowhere, Calgary. So I'm sure, I'll never get those big ones, but oh my God. You all know him as Notorious Cree. His name is James Jones. He's on TikTok. He's done that he makes my heart sing and happy every time I see him on social media. Him and I think they said at least one other native made Times top 100 most influential people to watch. So hats off to him. I'm so happy that we're getting positive representation like that. These are the things that make me quite happy, and super excited about that. So, uh, anyway, the Terry Fox one, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to make it to 100,000 even, but I hope that between this podcast and all of the other social media that I have out there, that, maybe it starts planting that seed that Terry Fox is Métis, and that we should be really having a little more in-depth conversation about medical racism as well, and government policy meant to erase the most iconic Canadian figure there is. So anyway, pretty excited about that. I've been talking a lot about toxicity lately because, the Calgary Stampede always brings that out, number one. And the Calgary Stampede had some major headliner. Because I'm a lame-o Gen X, I don't know who he was at all. I don't even care. But all of our little babies who are about, 15 to 25 were there, and all of the Karens of Calgary got pretty upset about the security and about all of the pushing, and there was even news about it. And I know that's a distraction from important things like Palestine and other things, but I thought it was kind of funny for me because we have 10 days of settler colonial bullcrap, like celebrating that. And they can't even create a safe space for their little ones to watch a Coca-Cola stage event. It's ridiculous. It's funny to me, but it's unsafe as it usually is. And I guess there was at least three people stabbed the same night. It's just I never understand. I never will understand the Calgary Stampede at all and why everybody is okay with so many terrible things that happen. Usually alcohol filled. And speaking of alcohol filled toxicity, um, there's this viral video going around in especially the sports world. So this is what the men were all excited about. And so it was trending on Twitter. And I'm like, what is this? Oy, oy, oy. So it turns out, for those who don't know, like golfing in Calgary is kind of one of those things that I don't even know if anybody likes doing it. It's just that you're all forced to do it. You're all forced to play golf because between Stampede and golfing is when business gets done in business circles. And so anyway, what I have found very interesting is how many sports guys play golf in the summer. Regardless, there was a brawl on these golf courses. And everybody's like, "Yeah, but you didn't tell the whole story. You didn't tell why it happened." I'm like, "You're two grown-ass fucking adults. You do not need a reason to be fighting ever. Like, this is the most ridiculous thing. Like, if you are so drunk that you are going to pick a fight on a golf course, you need to quit playing golf. You need to get your butt home. You probably need detox and, addiction services. But hey, I digress. Bigger picture, I just wish that people would quit saying this is somehow funny. This is somehow okay. So one of the folks that so this is what happened, and I'm not going to name names because I don't want to give these guys any more like whatever. You have a whole toxic male, Alberta sports world that are all about this, so whatever. But for the rest of us who are like, oh my God, this is disgusting. Basically, you had this short little guy who was drunk as a skunk, and for folks who know about golf, you have certain tee times, and if you take too long, people start getting mad. You're supposed to let them go, but he's drunk and he thinks he's a big guy. So anyway, he goes after this guy who's like, telling him to get off. But the guy he's going after happens to be an NHL enforcer that was retired. And he this is the stupidity of Calgary, or sorry, of Alberta, because if this happened in Alberta, this enforcer literally said "bam, bam, bam" as he's hitting this guy. Like, I don't know, whatever. I seen some other guys say the guy who was drunk was really embarrassed. He doesn't want his name out there. And I'm like, even if his name got out there, nobody would give a crapola. So anyway, so I give this little TikTok and I talk about how stupid this is, grown men. And of course, 2 hours this morning of deleting toxic Albertan truck nut bot type of replies, right? Like that's the type of discourse we have. And why this matters is this. First and foremost, last week you had Ann Coulter, who I'm sure all of us old Gen Xers remember the days of Rush Limbaugh and the 90s first real talk shows when it came to political conversation. And Ann Coulter had put out all of these books saying how great libertarianism is, whatever. So she comes out last week and she says, yeah, we didn't kill enough natives. That were her words. So, a few days of backlash takes down the tweet. Fine, whatever. Doesn't matter. She already laid the groundwork along with Beyonce 2 weeks ago, talking about, us being the oppressors to Black people, which is not true. So I don't know what is happening in conservative circles for them to be demonizing Indigenous people so bad, but clearly with the ICE raids, I have a good suspicion I know what's happening, and that's why when I hear non-Indigenous people complain about their safety on the internet, and especially in Canadian political TikTok circles, they're just like eating each other right now, the white people. I'm just like, my God, you guys, you have no idea the actual danger that folks like me are in by existing. You have no idea. And I just get so tired of their bull crapola. And another reason why I bring this up is not only is there a massive attack against, Indigenous people, but there was a social media influencer out in France, and she had she's one of those influencers that's super pretty and is probably always in a bikini but always traveling, right? And always doing the come with me while we do it, right? Anyway, apparently she lives this life of luxury and has a Rolex and all of these things because three guys were stalking her, and this is where I'm on her side. Like, she reaches out to the cops and tells them, "Hey, I'm getting these types of comments," and the cops are like, "Tough titty," because all cops seem to really care about the community they serve. See what I did there? Anyway, they did nothing, and so three guys break in, sexually assault her and beat her up, and so bad she's disfigured. Pour pour bleach all over her and steal her Rolex and some of the other things that obviously she has done content on. And I'm like, this this Canada could totally see that happening to any of our content creators just solely based off the hate that you're seeing perpetuated against Indigenous people. That's like, 400 years of this, right? Like, it's ridiculous. Um, Meanwhile, we've had this anti-racism organizational change available for 10 years, obviously not doing any work at all. I was talking about this golf course thing. I was just talking about the violence of white supremacy in general. You know how many conservative bot truck nuts were like, "What does this even have to do with race? You guys are, I'm like, oh my God, you no idea what oppression dynamics are to save your life." So just lame-o. It's impossible to have conversations. I don't even like they're not coming in good faith, so I just block them. So my block list looks ridiculous as usual. But back to Canadian toxicity. I thought it was really important to bring up that there was this week, actually, sadly, this these arrests that were happening in Quebec. They have charged at least four people that are including active military members who were planning to create an anti-government militia and forcibly possess land. And they had a huge stash of like explosives and rifles and weapons. And they said that it's the largest cache they've ever seized as part of a terrorist investigation. And I don't know why they don't use the word traitors, but they're not called traitors for whatever reason. So, probably because they're non-Indigenous. But that's the toxicity of Canada. So that's why, I seen this petition going around asking us to put peacekeepers into Palestine. And I did a TikTok that nobody watched why I would never do encourage that. And the reason is because, the Canadian military and the peacekeepers, they're violent. Anybody who's ever researched our history knows that. And of course, this four people being charged couldn't come at a better time to prove that. But I don't think most Canadians like I don't know if they just can't put the dots together, if they don't think about it that way, but I would never support that. And why? Maybe because it's about to be the anniversary of the the Oka crisis, but they don't, Canadians called it the Oka crisis, but the actual Mohawk, whose land that it was on, they actually call it the resistance. So if you don't know what I'm talking about because you're new to me and you're new to Indigenous issues, I recommend two things. There's a sub-media 5-minute YouTube that you can watch on this. You can just put in the Oka crisis and in 5 minutes, and my friend Gord Hill talks about it. Or you can go onto the National Film Board and watch a 2-hour one about it. And I highly recommend both because the 5-minute one you can share on all your social medias and you can promote the National Film Board one that's actually Indigenous led. Strongly encourage that people remember that. And I think it's really important to question when we're building up our military, when they're, you know, making traitors within there. If you look up sexual harassment, you will see the absolute deplorable conditions of our Canadian military when it comes to what we do to each other. You know, how many Canadian women have been raped. And I know Canadian men have, but because they don't talk about it, we don't have the numbers to prove it. So, um, it's terrible, absolutely terrible. So I am not pro imperialism. I'm not pro making more military. That's ridiculous. So anyway, our book club is coming up, and it's The Knowing by Tanya Talaga. And I wanted to also promote that there, along with the book that we're going to have read by the time this happens, there is actually going to be a four-part narrative series about Canadian and Indigenous journalist Tanya Talaga and her family searching for their matriarch, Annie Carpenter. So it talks about, like, the book talks about that, but this four-part narrative docu-series also talks about it, and that is coming up and is scheduled to premiere on CBC on September 25th, 2024. So I bring it up because I want you all to put that into your calendars as something to look forward to watching, because I think she's probably one of the best authors we have in the country right now. Deepest respect to Lee Miracle and Marie Sinclair, and you all know Dr. Nagan Sinclair, I think, is a fantastic author. Talika's books, like, she has done amazing work beyond this one. She's a journalist. Almost all of her work I would share, especially during from the start of, like, I don't know, more areas. Like, I wish everybody followed her religiously. She's even on TikTok, and she's done a few TikToks on writing, and I find her so inspiring. I highly recommend her. So we're reading her book for a book club, and there's the show coming up. I hope you consider watching them all. I wanted to talk more, but sometimes I over get so overwhelmed that I don't put out any content at all, and I don't want to do that. So I just want to say thank you all to everyone who's following me. Maybe if you're new to the show, maybe you're new to listening to podcasts in general. I always promote other people. And the reason why is because, yes, this is my opinion, and I don't think Calgary is showcased enough, but there are other media. So I always promote APTN. CBC has some stuff, National Film Board has some stuff, but look for Indigenous created. And then Windspeaker is more local here to Calgary. So I try to share their stuff because I'm Yellowknife Dene. I share a lot of stuff from Cabin Radio on my socials. And I just think it's really important to always be fighting white supremacy, decolonize, and working on reconciliation as treaty partners. I just don't always see that on the other side. So for those who listen to me, you clearly are trying. And for that, I say thank you for listening. And I just wanted to give you an extra shout out because I'm actually coming up on my anniversary here shortly. And I can't believe I've been doing this for years, but I've only been doing this for years because people are still listening and our numbers say to keep going. So thank you, folks, for that. I appreciate you. And I want to say Masi Cho to all my ancestors, to my granny, to my mom, of what strength looks like through your example. I want to thank my dad for teaching me to be strong and blunt, my mom for showing me what a proud culture is through her Austrian family, and teaching me to be a proud Calgarian. My husband, he has been my absolute joy of life. He's produced and edited this show. Obviously, my friend, my husband, father of my child, support down my incredible world life journey. He has witnessed decades of medical racism, racism in general, sexism in general, and to our child. We are blessed to learn from you daily. We are honored you chose us. We're so proud of you. You give me daily accountability to be a better, stronger person and to hopefully change the narrative a little in the hopes that the future might be a little better for you and the next generation. I hope my whole family will be proud of us trying to discuss these issues in hopes they see the change that I've seen. Anyway, under the Blackfoot, the elders and members have been so kind to me on my Red Road journey on their land. Elder Red Crane taught me how to pronounce my spirit name in Blackfoot. Leonard Kenny taught me how to pronounce my name in Satu Dene. My humblest apologies to the language keepers as I try to learn proper pronunciation. My Patreon account is Native Calgarian, where you can pledge and support. Thank you, previous donors, for showing your support. If you value listening or watching and can afford to give, I would love nothing more to hear from you at nativeyyc@gmail.com, where you can send in your comments or your questions. I also have a YouTube channel that you can go and subscribe. Go to nativecalgarian.com for the latest podcasts and pin posts on social media. And I'd love to hear about your happy joys, touch grass moments. Love to hear more about positive things that are happening in your world. And I just thought it would be kind of fun to talk about some of the good things that are happening in the world too. For folks who are new to following me on my podcast, I want to say to follow me on, especially my TikTok. If you actually follow me and I follow you back because you like my stuff, you'll see the reshares that I have, and almost all of them are, you know, silly animals, indigenous content. Maybe baby talking a bit. I try not to share the ones though that I don't like with bad parenting. Like you would never see me, sharing something with a baby getting something thrown at it or whatever. So, just if you like to have some good content, usually at night, all I look for is silly things. I like some spooky ghost stories too. I like those things, but I don't reshare them because, yeah, it's not everybody's cup of tea. Uh, but it's my cup of tea. Is definitely my cup of tea. I love those things. So, yeah, we have the new dog and we have our older dog, and the two of them are getting together better and better, and they're starting to cuddle even. So that makes me really happy. And tonight is the full moon ceremony, the sacred fire that I do. So it was raining almost all day, and they said at 2 it would end, and that was over an hour ago, and it looks like it's just ending. So I know tonight's going to be a wonderful fire. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, I'd love to hear about your positive reflections. Oh, that's what Ryan Jesperson calls it, is positive reflections. But I think they're more like touch grass moments, or go into nature moments, because that stuff matters. So anyway, there's Buffalo has already run into yet another tourist. So I think that's hysterical. But anyway, I end every podcast with a side eye to those Calgary rabbits. You're lucky I'm not tradish. My beautiful cousin would respond, or you'd be in my dish. Thanks, folks, for listening.